Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Recently, New York City, with the help of FATPhob feminists, just passed some anti-weight discrimination laws, adding fat people to the list of people that you're not allowed to discriminate against. How do they intend to prove whether or not you've discriminated against somebody based on their weight? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Hopefully there's no room within this bill for speculation or just finger-pointing and baseless accusations, because then we're just going to have ourselves a witch hunt. Before we get started, please click like on this video to try to help bring awareness to this situation. To investigate this matter further, we must first apply comb to mustache.
Studies have found that weight discrimination is widespread and is comparable to the levels of racial discrimination in the U.S.
According to who? I don't think it's comparable to that at all. And what does that even mean? That there's a similar amount of it happening? That doesn't say that it's just as bad. It just says there's a similar amount of it happening.
Studies have found that weight discrimination is widespread
and is comparable to the levels of racial discrimination in the U.S.
I wouldn't say it's comparable at all.
This city that I love so dearly is built without my body in mind.
The city that you love so dearly was built in like the 16 and 1700s. That body didn't exist.
Victoria Abraham testified in support of the New York City bill last month.
Yes, I covered that story. Here's a link. I love this stock footage. What is this? You looking at pictures of yourself on a laptop? Or actually, what is it? You looking at your own Instagram feed? What the heck? Nobody makes stock footage like CNN. All right, now let me see you look thoughtfully while putting a pen up to your mouth. No. More thoughtful. More thoughtful. Yeah. That's gold, baby. Yes, this is gold, baby. I'm the king of stock footage. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I want to shoot stock footage, okay? How about, like, man holding green dolphin figurine up to his face, you know? Like, nobody does that like me, dude. I'm your guy. Hello, stock footage people. How about slowly rotating man? See, nobody does that like me, dude. Hit me up.
She is a self-proclaimed fat activist and content creator.
She's a self-proclaimed fat activist and content creator. Which one of those is self-proclaimed? The content? You call that content?
I know I'm fat. That's not a bad thing, though. And I think the more that we use it as a neutral, as a descriptor, the less power it has.
I disagree. I think the more we use it as a descriptor, the more powerful it gets. The more you call the name of fat, the stronger it gets. It's like wearing the ring. It'll make you lose touch with reality.
Do you think that some of the discrimination for fat people happens through unconscious bias?
I think a lot of the biases, again...
Dude, don't give her the opportunity to say the word bias. She's gonna say biases instead, like she just did. Dang it, I can't pay attention.
Against fat people are unconscious because they're never called out.
Right. A lot of the biases against fat people are unconscious because they're never called out. So are we gonna go around persecuting people based on the way that we think that they're looking at us? Like, they never call you out, but they have biases, but you can see it in their eye. Like, what are we going to do about that? How are we going to stop people from looking at us a certain kind of way? Yeah, I could tell you were judging me with that look. What the heck? As we're going to see in one of the articles that I read, it says that this bill includes perceived fat phobia as well. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment.
Because our society functions with fat phobia imbued in it.
Weight discrimination has real financial impacts. The average American woman is reportedly a size 16. But
the average woman is reportedly a size 16.
One study showed that women considered obese earned $5.25 less per hour than women considered normal weight.
Source, Vanderbilt University. That's pretty vague. I would like to see the study itself, perhaps. I guarantee you that is a completely slanted and biased study, dude. Which is why they didn't reference it. They just said source, Vanderbilt University. a university somewhere. They said that everything that we just said is cool. Don't worry. Don't look into it. Don't look into it. They backed it up. It's chill. Okay.
Walking into a job interview as a fat person, I'm already at a disadvantage. My weight is a con, right?
Walking into a job interview, already you're at a disadvantage. Perhaps if you were labored walking into the room, that would immediately put you at a disadvantage. They're like, wow, you can't even walk into the room. How are you going to do the job? Maybe if it took you several minutes to cross that threshold.
Right? And regardless of if it's intentional or not.
Regardless of if it's intentional or not? So we need to be punishing people for their unintentional way that they treated you in a job interview? What?
But there is one thing that will be different if you do decide to pursue the job market. This new law.
Exactly.
Does that...
This new law, which means that if we decide not to hire you, we'll have to say it's for something else. Although I seriously doubt anybody is telling anybody currently, we didn't hire you because you were large, so therefore this is impossible to prove. You could just not hire somebody and say it's for any reason, right? The real reason could be whatever you want it to be, right? Who's gonna know?
make you feel a little bit better?
For sure. This bill is so important because,
like I said, you can't prove if anybody discriminated against you because of this or that, so the bill is completely pointless. Unless it allows them to make baseless accusations of fatphobia.
we're having this conversation because we're talking about what it means to be a fat person existing in the world. That we are being reminded that our bodies should never be a barrier to anything.
Not even rock climbing? What about climbing a rope? What about jumping jacks? What about climbing stairs? What about doing one push-up or one pull-up? An obese body should not be a barrier to doing any sort of physical activity, but it is. It's a barrier to doing every single sort of physical activity. Alright, so that was terrible. Let's read some articles. I'm going to read a couple snippets from 3 different articles because there's something interesting about each one of them. Fat people will be protected from discrimination under law passed in New York as critics warn it opens door to sue anyone and everything. The bill will outlaw height and weight discrimination in work and accommodation. New York City Council Minority Leader Joseph Borelli warned it could lead to more lawsuits. A controversial bill protecting fat people from weight discrimination has been passed in New York City. The bill, which is set to be signed into law by Democrat New York City Mayor Eric Adams this month, would outlaw discrimination on the basis of a person's height or weight in employment, housing, and public accommodation. See, that's the scary part right there, public accommodation. So basically, what I'm getting from that is, if this seat isn't big enough for us, we're gonna sue you. So I'm guessing the subway, the airlines, all these different places are gonna get sued now because the seats aren't large enough. That's what I'm getting from this. Let's continue. But it has already triggered outrage in some quarters, with Republican New York City Council Minority Leader Joseph Borelli claiming it will empower people to sue anyone and everything. Councilman Sean Abreu, one of the bill's main sponsors, said he realized weight discrimination was a silent burden after he was treated differently when he gained more than 40 pounds during lockdown. Yeah, they'll keep saying that over and over, that nonsense. Alright, here's an article from the New York Post. The reason I brought this one up is because it has this line. The proposal passed the New York City Council by a vote of 44-5 on Thursday. The approved legislation will amend the city's administrative code to make perceived and actual weight and height discrimination illegal in employment, public accommodations, and housing. Perceived and actual height and weight discrimination. So it's telling you right there, real and fake height and weight discrimination. Perceived and actual. Actual means real, so they're literally telling you fake and real. If we perceive that there was some fat phobia going on there, ooh, you're getting sued. I've been looking around, but I've been having a hard time finding the actual bill to look it up. If one of you could look into it and see if that's actually in there, oh my goodness. Hopefully that's just the New York Post getting things wrong, but that's literally the only part of the article that I wanted to look at from the New York Post. Let's carry on.
Victoria Abraham graduated from New York University last year, ready to enter the job market. She is a self-proclaimed fat activist who has found her voice as a content creator online, but has concerns about applying for a new job.
Walking into a job interview as a fat person, I'm already at a disadvantage, said Victoria Abraham. I know that whatever my qualifications are, my weight is a con. We all see where this is going. I think that it's completely insane that this bill passed. Like, those other protected groups that they compared themselves to should be outraged by this. History was made for fat people today. I can count on my fingers how many cities, states hold any type of protection for fat people. Now, New York City, my home, is among them. Me. All I've ever wanted to do, exactly this. Okay. Help make the world a better place for fat people. And it happened. Comments on this post have been limited. Oh, that's interesting. It seems like it's nothing but supportive comments. And nobody on the entire internet disagreed. According to that comment section. Don't you love it when they limit the comments on a post? We did it. It passed. I particularly like this one. Just ate a banana, a fruit that diet culture legitimately tried to convince me was unhealthy. How insane. Told you that a banana was unhealthy, huh? Wow, that's the craziest diet culture that I've ever heard of. What the heck? That is insane. This diet culture that told you that a banana was unhealthy. Does it tell you other things too? Lots of negative things? Is it always there? A negative voice in the back of your head? Is it in the room now? Seriously though, who would tell you that a banana is unhealthy? A piece of fruit? Yeah, I know. There's that darn diet culture going around telling people not to eat fruit. Yep, that's the healthy diet that I've heard of. The no fruit diet. Hey guys, stay away from fruit, okay? Maybe it's time to step into the 21st century and stop listening to the diet culture of whatever TV commercial fad diet that we saw back in 1993. Okay, this is 2023 now. So we have learned a couple things. We've learned a lot of things recently. We've learned that fat is not fattening. It is sugar and carbs that make you gain weight. Fat does not cause high blood pressure. It is sugar that hardens the arteries that cause high blood pressure. New York's human rights law already bars discrimination in housing, the workplace, and public accommodation based on 27 characteristics, including age, marital status, disability, and national origin. Right, so one could just say that discrimination is not allowed there, right? If we don't want to hire you for the job, it has to be because you're not good enough for the job, not because of whatever other thing. You literally don't need a list, right? Just say, hey guys, no discrimination allowed, okay? Based on anything. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, all right, that's chill. So I guess we'll just hire people based on their merits, huh? Whether or not they can do the job. Like I said before though, good luck enforcing any of this, unless that one article from the New York Post is correct, and you can be sued for perceived weight discrimination. If that's the case, a lot of people are going to get sued, and you're not going to be able to prove any of it. Perceived weight discrimination? That could be me just looking at you like this. And then you're like, he was judging me because I was overweight because I'm riddled with insecurities and I think that everybody's judging me. Yeah, give people who are insecure the keys to sue whoever they want. I'm sure that's going to go really well, dude. And if it's not based on perceived weight discrimination, how are you going to prove it? Has anybody ever said to you, I am not hiring you, and it is because of your weight? Like, no, I doubt it. They probably just said, yeah, we're going to pass. And then in your mind, you're like, it's because I was large. Like, but there's no proof of that. You have no idea why somebody didn't hire you. Maybe they just didn't like the cut of your jib. I dislike the cut of several people's jibs, and it has nothing to do with any of their identifying characteristics. Just didn't like that jib. Just didn't vibe, baby. It just didn't vibe. What do you guys think? Do you think that we should have laws in place to protect fat people from discrimination, real or perceived? And if you do believe we should have such laws, how do you think we're going to prove it? How are we going to prove that somebody discriminated against you based on your weight? Unless they just come right out and say it. Where do you stand in the argument? Leave a comment with your opinion below. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.